April 28, 1881, Lincoln County Jail. The silence shattered. 2 shots fired. Guards, Bell and Ollinger, dead. Blood pools, stone floor, cold. Billy the Kid escapes. No witnesses, just echoes.
Gunpowder, heavy in the air. 2 bodies, lifeless, eyes open. Ollinger's shotgun, used against him. Bell, shot in the back, no mercy.
Chaos, panic. Billy vanishes into the night. Jail left a tomb. Guards left as warnings. The kid, a ghost. Reputation grows. Fear spreads.
Saw nothing, heard everything. The kid's laugh, haunting. He was gone, like smoke.
Scene of terror, a legend born. Billy the Kid, notorious. The night he became a myth. The transformation of Henry McCarty into the infamous Billy the Kid did not happen overnight. It was a gradual descent into notoriety, a metamorphosis fueled by the harsh realities of frontier life. Born into poverty and abandonment, young Henry learned early that charm could be his weapon. His smile disarming, his eyes a glint of mischief and menace. What began as a boy's survival instinct evolved into the calculating allure of a criminal mastermind.
In his early years, Henry was just another orphaned boy, drifting through the dusty streets of Silver City. His first brush with the law, a petty theft of butter and trousers, seemed innocuous. Yet it was the start of a pattern of escalating defiance.
The trajectory of his crimes steepened. From stolen horses to rustled cattle, each act more brazen than the last. The frontier's lawlessness became his playground. But it was his first murder that marked his true genesis as Billy the Kid. A killing born of desperation, self-defense claimed, yet it was the point of no return. The child, Henry, was gone. In his place stood Billy the Kid, a figure both feared and revered.
I saw him that night. The way he moved, like a shadow, quick, silent, his eyes cold as the grave. He wasn't just a boy anymore. He was something else, something terrifying.
What drove Billy was more than mere survival. It was notoriety, a reckless bravado that demanded attention, to be known, feared, respected. The legends that grew around him were as much his creation as the deeds themselves. He craved the infamy. It was his lifeblood, more precious than gold.
Psychologically, he was an enigma, a paradox of youth and ruthlessness. His actions, a blend of calculated risk and impetuous impulse, he lived on the edge, where the line between life and death blurred. And in that blurred line, he thrived.
The outlaw's genesis was complete. Billy the Kid was no longer just a name whispered in fear. He was a living legend, an embodiment of the untamed West. His story, a testament to the allure of infamy and the dark depths of human nature.
Is his mask. Behind it, perhaps, a boy who never grew up, or a man who never wanted to. Either way, he was lost to us forever.
And so, the transformation was sealed. In the dust of the West, Billy the Kid's shadow stretched long and haunting, a shadow that would never fade, even as the man himself slipped into legend. The Lincoln County War was a brutal clash of interests and egos, a bloody battlefield where the innocent and guilty alike were swept away in a tide of violence. Billy the Kid, a young outlaw with a flair for the dramatic, found himself at the heart of this conflict, his actions forever etched into the annals of history. In the dusty streets of Lincoln, New Mexico, alliances were as treacherous as the shifting sands. The war, a fierce struggle between the Murphy-Dolan faction and the Tunstall-McSween faction, erupted over control of the county's economic resources. To the uninitiated, it was a mere business dispute, but to those involved, it was a matter of life and death. Billy, drawn into the fray by loyalty and circumstance, became a soldier in this war. His reputation as a gunman made him a valuable asset, and his youthful charisma masked the danger he posed. The Big Killing, as it came to be known, was the climax of this bitter conflict. A massacre that left bodies strewn across the town like discarded chess pieces.
The aftermath of the Big Killing was chaos. Lawmen descended upon Lincoln with a singular purpose: to bring Billy and his cohorts to justice. But Billy was no ordinary fugitive. His survival instincts, honed through years of hardship, made him a ghost in the wilderness, a shadow that slipped through the fingers of those who pursued him.
The manhunt for Billy the Kid was relentless, a fevered pursuit that consumed the lives of those who chased him. Bounty hunters and lawmen alike were drawn into a deadly game of cat and mouse, their resolve tested by the unforgiving landscape and the cunning of their quarry. Billy's legend grew with each narrow escape, his name whispered in saloons and camps across the West.
To those who crossed his path, Billy was both a hero and a villain. He was a symbol of defiance, a young man who challenged the established order with nothing but his wits and a gun. Yet his actions left a trail of blood and heartbreak, a legacy as dark as the shadows he moved within.
The myth of Billy the Kid endures, a haunting reminder of a time when the line between law and lawlessness was blurred. Even now, whispers persist that he escaped his fate, living under a different name, his restless spirit forever roaming the desolate plains. But for those who know the truth, he remains a figure of both fascination and fear, a ghost of the Wild West. As the dust settled over Lincoln County, the legend of Billy the Kid took a darker turn. Arrested for the murder of Sheriff Brady, Billy found himself ensnared in the very system he had so deftly evaded. His capture was not the end, but rather the beginning of a spectacle that would captivate the nation.
The courtroom was a theater of shadows, where the stakes were nothing less than life and death. Billy the Kid, shackled and defiant, faced the stern gaze of the judge. His demeanor was unyielding, as if each chain link was a badge of honor in his relentless quest for freedom.
The trial for the murder of Sheriff Brady was a spectacle, a grim dance of justice and vengeance. Witnesses recounted the chaos of that fateful day, painting vivid scenes of violence and betrayal. Yet, amid the testimonies, Billy's charm was palpable, an almost hypnotic quality that drew both ire and admiration.
He stood there, eyes like burning coals beneath the brim of his hat. There was something about him, a danger that was both real and seductive. You could feel it in the room, like a storm that hadn't yet broken.
The courtroom drama unfolded like a tragic opera, each act more intense than the last. The prosecution painted Billy as a cold-blooded killer, his past littered with bodies and betrayal. But Billy, ever the performer, countered with tales of self-defense and survival, his voice steady, his resolve unbroken.
As the trial drew to its inevitable conclusion, the weight of the verdict hung heavy in the air. Death by hanging. A sentence as final as the gunshots that echoed through Lincoln County. Yet, even as the words were spoken, there was a sense of unreality, as if the story of Billy the Kid could not end so simply.
The sentence loomed over him like a specter, a grim reminder of the life he had led and the choices he had made. But for Billy, the gallows were merely another obstacle, another challenge to be met with cunning and audacity. In his mind, the game was far from over. As the courtroom emptied, leaving only echoes and shadows, the legend of Billy the Kid grew, fueled by whispers and half-truths. He was more than a man. He was a symbol of defiance in an unforgiving world. And as the days passed, the question remained, would he escape the hangman's noose? Or would his story meet its end in the dusty streets of Lincoln? In the end, the trial of Billy the Kid was not just about justice or revenge. It was a clash of ideals, a battle between the old world and the new, where one man's fate became a symbol of the lawless frontier. And as the sun set over the desolate plains, the legend continued to grow, echoing through time, a haunting reminder of the Wild West. April 28, 1881, was a day that would forever be etched into the annals of American outlaw history. The air was charged with a palpable tension, heavy as the storm clouds rolling across the New Mexico sky. Inside the Lincoln County Jail, the atmosphere was equally oppressive, the walls steeped in the resigned despair of those who knew their fates were sealed. For Billy the Kid, however, this was not the end. It was merely the beginning of his most audacious act yet, an escape that would cement his legend and confound the lawmen sworn to bring him to justice.
The plan was meticulous, almost too perfect for a man of his age. Billy the Kid had spent months observing the rhythms of his captors, noting every weakness, every lapse in vigilance. He had become a specter within his own cell, his mind a relentless engine of cunning and desperation. When the opportunity finally presented itself, it was swift and brutal.
I heard the shots echo through the corridors like a death knell. Bell and Ollinger didn't stand a chance. Ollinger, that poor fool, was killed with his own shotgun, a cruel twist of fate that only added to the legend. Bell was gunned down as he tried to flee. The sound of his body hitting the floor was the final punctuation to a grim symphony.
In the aftermath, the corridors of the Lincoln County Jail were left hauntingly silent. The air was thick with the acrid smell of gunpowder, mingling with the metallic tang of blood, a testament to the violence that had unfolded. Billy the Kid had vanished into the ether, leaving behind a trail of chaos and the shattered lives of those who had dared to stand in his way.
For those left to pick up the pieces, there was no solace, no easy answers. The kid's escape was more than a physical act. It was a psychological blow to the very heart of law and order. It was a reminder of the frontier's lawlessness, where the lines between hero and villain blurred into shades of gray.
As the news of his escape spread, it traveled like wildfire across the territories, igniting imaginations and stoking fears. The legend of Billy the Kid grew with each retelling, his exploits becoming larger than life, a symbol of rebellion against the encroaching order of civilization. To some, he was a folk hero, a Robin Hood of the West. To others, a ruthless killer who defied justice at every turn.
The manhunt that followed was relentless, a deadly game of cat and mouse played out across the vast, unforgiving landscapes of the American Southwest. Every lawman, bounty hunter, and opportunist was drawn into the chase, each hoping to be the one to finally bring the kid to heel. Yet, with each near capture, Billy slipped through their fingers, a ghost in the night, leaving only whispers and dust in his wake.
In the end, the escape from Lincoln County Jail was more than just a bold act of defiance. It was a defining moment in the life of Billy the Kid, a catalyst that propelled him from mere outlaw to enduring legend. His story became a tapestry of myth and reality, woven into the very fabric of American folklore, a haunting reminder of a time when the West was wild and anything seemed possible. As the sun sets on this chapter of history, we are left with the echoes of gunfire and the shadows of those who lived and died by the gun. Billy the Kid's legacy is one of contradiction, both a symbol of freedom and a cautionary tale of lawlessness. And as the dust settles, the question remains, how much of his legend is truth, and how much is the product of a world desperate for heroes and villains? The evening of July 14th, 1881, at Pete Maxwell's adobe house was draped in a blanket of foreboding, a night heavy with anticipation and the cloying scent of fear. The air was thick, each breath a struggle against the oppressive heat of the New Mexico summer. Inside, shadows clung to the corners, watching silently as history prepared to etch another chapter in blood. Pat Garrett, the lawman who had become a specter of justice, waited with a patience honed by years of pursuit. His mind was a cauldron of resolve and doubt, knowing that any misstep could turn him from hunter to hunted. Garrett's men were stationed strategically, their silhouettes merging with the landscape, invisible against the night. Pete Maxwell's living quarters were modest, a simple room with sparse furnishings, yet the air inside was electric, charged with the unspoken tension of what was to come. The wooden floorboards groaned under the weight of history, each creak a whisper of impending fate. Somewhere beyond the walls, the infamous Billy the Kid moved through the darkness, his presence more sensed than seen. The moon cast its pale glow over Fort Sumner, a ghostly luminescence that painted long shadows across the dusty ground. It was under this spectral light that Garrett steeled himself, his hand brushing against the grip of his revolver, a weapon that had become an extension of his will. The night was a silent witness to the unfolding drama, its stillness broken only by the rustle of leaves and the distant call of a night bird.
In the dim confines of Maxwell's bedroom, the confrontation was swift and brutal. Accounts claim that Garrett fired his weapon, the muzzle flash briefly illuminating the room like a bolt of lightning, burning an indelible image onto the retinas of those present. The bullet found its mark, and the body that fell was said to be that of Billy the Kid, the outlaw whose legend was forged in fire and blood.
As the acrid scent of gunpowder lingered in the air, the reality of the moment began to seep into the consciousness of those gathered. The body lay sprawled, lifeless on the floor, a pool of blood slowly spreading like a dark bloom on the parched earth. There was no fanfare, no dramatic last words, just the cold finality of death.
In the aftermath of the shooting, the silence was deafening. A void filled only by the whispered prayers of those who had witnessed the demise of a legend. The kid's body was hastily prepared for burial, wrapped in a shroud of makeshift dignity. The sun had barely risen when they laid him to rest in a shallow grave, the red earth of New Mexico his final resting place.
And yet, as the dust settled over his grave, questions lingered like specters in the twilight. Was the body interred that of Billy the Kid? Or had the outlaw once again slipped through the fingers of fate, leaving only a shell behind? The air was ripe with speculation, the whispers of a legend refusing to be silenced even in death. In the years that followed, stories would surface, tales of an aging man in the shadows claiming to be Billy the Kid, fueling the fires of myth and mystery. The truth, like the desert sun, remains elusive, a mirage on the horizon of history. And so, the legend endures, leaving us to ponder the thin line between reality and the stories that define our past. As the echoes of that fateful night fade into the annals of time, we are left with the haunting knowledge that legends never truly die. They linger, like shadows at dusk, forever part of the landscape, their stories etched into the very fabric of our collective memory. And, in the end, perhaps it is the mystery more than the man that captivates us still. In the aftermath of Billy the Kid's death, the American public was swept into a maelstrom of fascination and fear. Newspapers across the country emblazoned their front pages with his name, painting him as both a villain and a folk hero. For many, Billy was a symbol of rebellion against the rigid structures of society, a specter of the untamed frontier that lingered long after his demise. The mythos that surrounded him grew like wildfire, fed by the tales of his daring escapades and the uncertainty of his end. As stories of his death circulated, so too did rumors of his survival. Some claimed to have spotted him alive, living under an alias, his eyes still glinting with mischief and defiance. The ambiguity of his fate only fueled the public's obsession, transforming him from a mere outlaw into a legend, a ghost of the Wild West whose shadow loomed larger with each passing year. The reality of his exploits was often eclipsed by the allure of his legend, a narrative that refused to be silenced. By the 1920s, Billy the Kid's legacy had taken on a life of its own. It was during this era that his death photo began to circulate, a macabre relic of the past displayed as if it were a trophy of the law's triumph over chaos. The image, stark and unforgiving, captivated audiences who peered into the eyes of the young outlaw frozen in time. It served as a grim reminder of the violent end that awaited those who dared to defy the rule of law. Yet it also immortalized him in a way that no other artifact could. The photo became a symbol of the era, an eerie testament to the life and death of a boy who had dared to challenge the world.
The fascination with Billy the Kid was not merely about the crimes he committed, but the audacity with which he lived. His story was one of survival against insurmountable odds, a dance with death that ended in a blaze of violence. Yet it was the possibility that he had somehow cheated death that kept the legend alive, a tantalizing enigma that compelled people to search for answers in the shadows of history. The allure of the unknown, the thrill of the chase, these were the elements that transformed Billy the Kid from a mere criminal into an icon.
Even today, the fascination endures. Historians and enthusiasts alike sift through the remnants of his life, seeking to unravel the mysteries that time has shrouded in obscurity. The questions persist. Did he truly die that night at the hands of Pat Garrett? Or did he vanish into the ether, leaving behind nothing but whispers and shadows? The answers remain elusive, haunting the annals of history like a specter, forever entwined with the legend of Billy the Kid. And perhaps, in the end, it is this very uncertainty that ensures his place in the pantheon of American folklore. As the years roll on, the legend of Billy the Kid continues to captivate the imagination, a testament to the enduring power of myth in shaping our understanding of the past. His story is a reminder of the thin line between truth and fiction, a line that blurs in the telling and retelling of history. And so, as we gaze into the depths of his story, we find ourselves drawn into the mystery, captivated by the eternal question, who was Billy the Kid, really? A question that echoes through the ages, unanswered and unanswerable, like the soft rustle of leaves in a forgotten graveyard. The stories that linger in the shadow of history are often the ones most clouded by mystery. As we turn our gaze to the anomalies surrounding the death and burial of Billy the Kid, the air grows dense, laden with the whispers of the past. His death, a supposed certainty, remains a canvas for doubt and speculation. The shallow grave in Fort Sumner, New Mexico, marked by a simple headstone, tells a story that is far from simple. The earth there is dry, cracked under the relentless sun, yet it holds secrets as deep as the night. It is said that the marker has been moved, stolen, and replaced so many times that the true resting place of Billy the Kid is as elusive as his spirit. Doubts creep in like the chill of a desert night, unsettling in their persistence. Theories of mistaken identity have wormed their way into the narrative, suggesting that the man buried might not be Billy at all. Witnesses from that fateful night spoke of confusion, of shadows playing tricks in the dim lamplight of Pete Maxwell's adobe house. The room, heavy with the smell of dust and sweat, became a theater of uncertainty. Did Pat Garrett truly shoot the infamous outlaw? Or was it a tragic error, a case of wrong place, wrong time? Some claim it was another, an unlucky soul caught in the crossfire of fate and law. The very idea sends shivers down the spine, like the unseen eyes of a predator in the dark. Rumors swirl like dust devils across the plains, whispering of a man who outsmarted death itself. Could Billy the Kid have slipped away, leaving the world to mourn a ghost? The thought tantalizes with its audacity, the ultimate escape by a master of evasion. Some say he lived on, adopting a new name, a new life, far from the reach of those who hunted him. The whispers speak of sightings in Texas, Arizona, even Mexico, each account a thread in a tapestry woven from hope and disbelief. These tales persist, fueled by the enigmatic nature of the kid himself, a figure as elusive in death as he was in life. The very essence of his legend lies in this uncertainty, a story that refuses to be neatly closed. In the quiet moments, when the dust settles and the stars cast their cold light over the land, one might wonder if Billy the Kid still rides, a phantom of the frontier. His legacy is not just of blood and bullets, but of the shadows he left behind, a testament to a life lived on the edge of myth and reality. And so, the legend of Billy the Kid endures, a haunting narrative that defies the finality of a grave. In the end, it is the questions that remain, unanswered and perhaps unanswerable, that keep his story alive. A story etched in the annals of time, forever shrouded in the mystery of what might have been. The desert winds continue to whisper his name, a call to those who seek the truth among the echoes of history. In the relentless expanse of the New Mexican desert, where the winds carry whispers of legends long past, an unsettling truth lies buried beneath the sun-scorched earth. The legacy of Billy the Kid, shrouded in myth and shadow, beckons those daring enough to sift through the sands of time, seeking the elusive line between fact and fiction. This is where our story unfurls, a tapestry woven with threads of deception and revelation.
Our investigation begins in the dimly lit confines of an abandoned adobe house, its walls echoing with the remnants of a violent past. Here, amidst the dust and decay, a washstand stands forgotten, its presence unremarkable to the untrained eye. Yet it is within this humble piece of furniture that a shocking discovery emerges, challenging the very fabric of the accepted narrative. Forensic analysis uncovers traces of blood, old, dried, yet unmistakably human, hidden within the grooves of the wood. The blood, when tested, reveals a startling anomaly. The DNA does not match the known samples of Billy the Kid. Instead, it suggests the presence of another, an unknown figure who may have shared those final moments in Pete Maxwell's bedroom.
The revelation sends ripples through the annals of history, casting doubt on the official tale of Billy the Kid's demise. As investigators delve deeper, they are led to the coroner's report, a document yellowed with age yet filled with clinical precision. Within its pages lies the second beat of our chilling narrative, the revelation of 26 scars, each a testament to the violent life Billy led. These scars, meticulously catalogued, match the wounds described in countless accounts of his escapades. Yet there is an unsettling discrepancy. The body exhumed from the grave, marked as Billy's, bears scars in places inconsistent with the documented injuries. The findings suggest a possibility too dark to contemplate. The man buried beneath the simple headstone may not be the notorious outlaw at all.
I remember the night like it was yesterday. The chaos, the confusion, everything happened so fast. We were told it was Billy, but with all the noise and the fear, who could be sure? It's possible, isn't it, that the wrong man was laid to rest, while the real Billy slipped away into the shadows, free to carve out a new life under the moonlit skies.
The implications are as chilling as they are profound. If Billy the Kid did indeed escape his supposed fate, the legend becomes not just a tale of rebellion, but one of survival against insurmountable odds. It paints him as a ghostly figure, forever elusive, forever haunting the dusty trails of the American Southwest. And so, we are left with a final, haunting possibility: that the outlaw who defied death itself may still wander the earth, his story an eternal enigma.
The evidence, both tangible and ephemeral, compels us to question everything we thought we knew. In the quiet moments between dusk and dawn, when the desert is still and the air hangs heavy with anticipation, one cannot help but wonder, did Billy the Kid outsmart death? Or is this yet another layer of the myth, a deception spun from the threads of time? As we stand at the crossroads of history and legend, we are reminded that some stories are destined to remain unresolved, forever echoing in the corridors of our collective consciousness.
The tale of Billy the Kid endures, a haunting narrative that defies the finality of a grave. In the end, it is the questions that remain, unanswered and perhaps unanswerable, that keep his story alive. A story etched in the annals of time, forever shrouded in the mystery of what might have been. The desert winds continue to whisper his name, a call to those who seek the truth among the echoes of history. And so, we stand at the brink, peering into the abyss of what is known and what is yet to be discovered. As we stand on the precipice of history, we are compelled to examine the lasting impact of Billy the Kid on American folklore. His name, whispered through the annals of time, evokes images of a lawless frontier where legends were born from the smoky barrels of revolvers. Billy the Kid, a figure both feared and revered, has transcended the boundaries of his own mortality, embedding himself into the very fabric of the American West. His story, one of rebellion and audacity, continues to capture the imagination, a testament to the enduring allure of the outlaw. The tales of his escapades, whether embellished or grounded in truth, have become the stuff of legend, fuel for the perpetual fire of folklore that refuses to be extinguished. The unresolved mysteries surrounding Billy the Kid serve as a fertile ground for speculation and intrigue. The gaps in his history, the shadows that dance around the facts, invite endless debate and the crafting of narratives that straddle the line between reality and myth. Was he truly the villain painted by the law, or a misunderstood hero of the downtrodden? The ambiguity of his character only adds to the mystique, a puzzle with pieces that seem forever out of reach. In the dusty archives of the past, we find ourselves drawn to the enigma of his life, compelled to unravel the threads of a story that defies a singular interpretation. Yet, amid the swirling sands of time, one question haunts the corridors of history. Did Billy the Kid truly escape death? The notion that he might have slipped through the fingers of fate, evading the finality of a bullet, is a tantalizing prospect that refuses to be silenced. The idea that he lived on, perhaps under a different name, paints a picture of an alternate reality where the kid continued his dance with destiny, forever eluding the grasp of those who sought to end his reign. It is a question that lingers in the air like a specter, a ghostly reminder of the uncertainty that shrouds his fate. The forensic anomalies, the inconsistencies in witness accounts, all contribute to the haunting legacy of Billy the Kid. The evidence, or lack thereof, creates a tapestry of doubt that challenges the official narrative, leaving room for the imagination to roam free. The blood in the washstand, the scars on the exhumed body, each detail adds a layer of complexity to a story already steeped in mystery. These elements, facts that refuse to align neatly, invite us to question what we know, to peer into the abyss of historical uncertainty, and contemplate the possibility that the truth may forever elude us. As we delve deeper into this tale, we find ourselves ensnared by the allure of what might have been. The specter of Billy the Kid, whether alive or dead, continues to cast a long shadow over the landscape of history, a testament to the power of myth and the enduring quest for truth. His legacy, a blend of fact and fiction, remains a haunting reminder of the complexities of human nature and the stories we tell to make sense of the world around us. In the end, it is the questions that endure, echoing through the corridors of time, a haunting refrain that keeps the legend of Billy the Kid alive. As we walk the paths of history, we are reminded that some stories are destined to remain unsolved. Mysteries that captivate and confound, forever etched in the shadows of the past. The desert winds continue to whisper his name, a call to those who seek the truth among the echoes of history. And so, we stand at the brink, peering into the abyss of what is known and what is yet to be discovered, forever haunted by the legacy of Billy the Kid.